A podcast? Did your radio show get canceled?
Fire. Low down and filthy, but the discipline is on point. Schooled myself, made my own dojo. A cold flow with the whole dose of soul. Maintain composure, even in theory. An anomaly, properties undiscernible to mere peasants.
This week on The $1 Million Plan, we're talking about selling your home, but more importantly, we talk about an element of selling your home that leaves a lot of people frustrated, a lot of people broke, a lot of people sending angry texts to their friends, and if their friends are passive-aggressive, like I am, then they'll get text. But anyway, that's what we're doing this week on the show. And joining us to discuss this, we've got David Klain, our real estate expert. How's that salary we pay you for being our real estate expert?
It's terrific. It's my second highest salary I get.
I didn't even buy your coffee today. But I did buy my coffee from you.
So it works.
David Klain, real estate mogul, which you always like when I call you that, and you require that. So I've had in the last 6 months 4 good friends attempt and or sell their home. Attempt to and or complete the sale of their home. In that process, when the inspection was done, everything fell apart. Everything.
All 4 of them?
In various capacities.
Okay.
So what I want to talk about today, it's a buyer's market. It's a buyer's market.
Sure.
Actually, no, it's a seller's market.
Today's a seller's.
Damn it. It's a seller's market. What I want to talk about is sometimes that flips on its head, though, in the inspection stage of selling a home. And it's a really frustrating process, David, because here you're leaving the house and then you're expected to fix a bunch of stuff that you don't even get to use anymore. So, go.
I think the biggest issue is the understanding of what the inspection really is about.
Okay, so
understanding why are you getting an inspection done as a buyer?
Because the realtor says I had to.
Correct. So, but why? So the reason you want it is it's part of your due diligence process to see and help understand what you're buying.
Okay.
So it's taking, if you're buying a used car, it's taking it to the mechanic before you write a check for it and having it inspected to make sure you're not buying a lemon, or at least know what you're buying so you're an educated consumer on what your purchase is.
But it's not really that anymore.
No, it's turned into now a second round of negotiations and a strategy as part of the purchase. That's not meant to be that way. I mean, that's not what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But that's what the consumer has started to turn it into.
Okay, so let's rewind, because when you go to sell your home, there's this disclosure, right?
Correct.
Where you'd explain to explain the disclosure.
There's a sales disclosure that you're claiming and stating what is wrong or defective or not defective.
To the best of your knowledge.
To the best of your knowledge. Well, I mean, how often do you get on your roof and take a look at your roof? Probably not often.
Well,
no.
I don't.
But again, most consumers nowadays don't go around and inspect their home and take care of it probably the way they should to begin with.
Yeah.
They just live in it, figuring it's a new home or whatever it is, and everything's maintenance free supposedly.
Okay, so I'm going to jump all over the place today.
Go.
Like most of our conversations go. And forward and back. So here's a situation that I recently saw. A friend of mine went to sell their house in this regard, and they had the inspection done, and a major issue came up. And it was an issue that came up when my friend actually purchased the home too, but my friend was like, I don't care.
I don't care. Sure.
Let's just buy the home. But now it's like a $40,000 problem.
What kind of problem is this?
A sewer line issue to the street.
Okay.
So I think the lesson there is, at some level, you do have to be a tough guy about, when you're a buyer, making sure the things on the inspection report are done.
In my opinion,
okay,
for what it's worth.
Well, that's why you're here.
Right.
That's why you're paid so much.
As a consumer,
okay,
when you purchase a home and you get that list from the inspection, the items that need to be addressed are life safety type items for the home.
Like what?
Wiring. Wiring. So basically, all your mechanical items.
Okay.
Plumbing, electrical, heating, cooling.
Sure.
Water infiltration, meaning is water coming into the house in a way
Sounds
that
aggressive.
Shouldn't be. Right.
It's not filtering the water. It's infiltration.
Infiltration into the home.
Right.
And then code violations
Okay.
would be another item.
Okay.
And so those items, which like a sewer line not operating properly, has to do with the structure,
Yeah.
not doing what it's
Because
supposed
it
to
would
do.
back up.
It back up. It can
You
be
could
a
have
big issue.
waste infiltration.
There you go.
I don't know.
So, but those are your items. So if you have any of those items on your list of the home you're purchasing,
Yeah.
those items need to be addressed, because when you sell, there's still going to be items that need to be addressed. Anything cosmetic related that people want to discuss cosmetic, or they, a roof is 15 years old and they're told a roof will last 20 years, but the 15-year-old one's okay, it's still okay, then you don't ask for the roof to be replaced just because eventually it's going to need to be replaced.
But so that's what we're seeing today.
Well, people now say, well, the roof, the inspector says, roof should be monitored because it's 15 years old and the typical roof lasts 20. Well, now the consumer says, well, I want a new roof. Well, you're not entitled to a new roof.
Yeah.
The roof's just fine. They're just telling you, no different than buying a car and it says it has 20,000 miles left on the tires. You know that you've got exposure eventually of buying new tires.
So sometimes, and the exposure I get to people sometimes is they're selling their home as a way to free themselves from something they can't afford, and they're actually downsizing,
Understand.
which is some of the advice we often give. But when you're doing that, when you're in a financial pinch, you don't have a ton of resources to fix stuff because you don't have any cash.
Correct.
So that's a big problem.
Well, sure.
So, I mean, for everything.
Yeah, I
but-
mean, it's a situation that that you're stuck in, and
because then you're dropping the price of the home,
you're losing the equity that you had, if you had any.
or if you didn't have any,
Then you're stuck.
Then you're underwater,
Correct.
and you got to take money to the table at the close.
Absolutely. I mean, unfortunately, it's if you again, I equate everything to a car because it's easier for people to understand.
Is a car that much easier to understand than a house?
Well, I mean, you bought the car and you owe $20,000 and it's only
Sure.
worth 15.
Okay.
And you want to get a new car.
Yeah.
You still owe 20. You're upside down 5,000. So you got to figure out how to get out of the car.
Isn't the
same
mortgage
concept.
company somehow involved here though too, in the sense that for the buyer, that they're going to want stuff fixed, they're going to want the home of a certain quality before they offer a mortgage on the home.
Correct.
Has it always been that way?
Yeah, I mean, as a mortgage company, I want to make sure that the home that I'm financing for you to purchase is a quality home, because if you default on it, I'm stuck owning it,
Yeah.
and I gotta go sell it, and then as a mortgage company, now I'm stuck with a defective home.
Now here-
So,
yeah.
the ultimate goal is to make sure the home is a quality home, structurally sound, and a safe place to live.
Right.
And all the other items that people tend to throw on there because the realtor says to them, or they think, why not, let's ask for everything, and then they end up blowing up a deal because they ask for so much stuff that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So when you look at a inspection report, there's different categories, and each category has kind of like a to monitor category, an urgent category. They're broken up based off of priority. Well, in reality, the one that's in red, that is a priority urgent.
They are broken
area.
down like
yeah,
that?
Yeah.
I haven't seen an inspection report in a really long time.
I'll get you one.
No, I don't want one. I
Okay.
just
No, I can send you a copy of one.
Oh, yeah.
But the urgent areas, those are the items to be addressed that are an absolute must.
Okay.
And those would be safety items, electrical, heating, cooling. The other areas they start giving you to monitor,
Right.
meaning just keep an eye on, like the exterior painting might need to be painted soon. Well, I mean, yes, it will, but you saw that when you walked up to the house. You didn't need an inspector to tell you that.
Here's what I keep thinking. This is why it's so important to have not only a realtor, but a good realtor, because as you prepare to sell your home, you take it to market. Well, there's a whole
Right.
thing, right? What do they call it? Staging and whatnot?
Staging. So,
Yeah.
I agree. I'm going to interrupt you. So,
Please do.
the number one thing
Makes for good radio.
that I recommend
Yeah.
always, before you put your home on the market,
Right.
hire an inspector and have the home inspected yourself.
Wait a second. Okay, this is earth-shattering. This could take us an entire different 10 minutes to go through this. Okay, we're going to get to that. We're going to do that next segment because I want to finish my thought.
Go right ahead. It's your show.
Thanks, Nicole. So here's the issue. If I'm putting money into paint because I heard to have neutral colors, and I know my carpet sucks, so I need new carpet, and there's these little things that you should fix. So you put $1,500 into getting it ready before a market.
Sure.
Should you do that, or are you saying from the very beginning you should hire? I mean, because realtors tell you to do that, but then then you spend your money and then you go to the inspection report and you have no money to fix the stuff that really needs fixed.
I mean, again, you got to be able to have the home ready to go onto the market, and that involves proper presentation of the home and by home being in the right condition.
Yeah.
Right condition means having things fixed and ready to go.
There's no as-is deals in home ownership these days?
I mean, you can try. People do it. People do it from a estate sale standpoint.
Yeah.
Typically, you'll see that when an estate is selling a home, it's just as is.
All right,
And you're exposed. And people do that, and frankly, I think it's a better solution. Just let them deal with it on their own and know what you're buying.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. I'm going to sip my coffee. You're going to sip your coffee, which will be communal. It'll feel good. Some fellowship. Then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about this idea of getting your inspection yourself before you go to market, which costs you. I'm shooting holes in it when we come back from the break. Okay, so if you're just joining us, David Klain, real estate mogul, talking about the concept of home inspections and how they affect the sale. What am I doing? The sale of a home. I can't talk. That's what we're doing next. I'm Pete the Planner. This is $1 Million Plan.
Stop what you're doing and hit Pete up on Twitter at Pete the Planner.
Sound good to me. I never question the right of any man to voice his opinion as strongly as any can. But then again, many men are citizens of their own little world, so they ain't really fitting in. I'm in the background blending in, camouflaged by the scenery, but I'm a champion. Revamp the camp again.
Back on the $1 Million Plan, David Klain, real estate mogul. Talking about selling your home today, primarily the inspection report portion, which often can just derail an entire deal. And the culture of inspection reports and how they've changed and what people are doing and trends and, hey, everything needs to be fixed versus the structural stuff. But David, you said something prior to the break that left me stupefied. I couldn't think of a word. You said that before you sell your home, just hire your own inspection report.
Absolutely. I mean, it's get your home.
No one does that.
My friends and clients do.
Okay, so
because that's what I tell them to do.
Okay, so go through this.
So the logic behind it is in the current environment, the way people ask for things to be fixed is they want a blanket. They want everything on that list to be fixed from top to bottom, whether it's urgent or not. They want it fixed. If you go out and spend the $700 and hire someone to come out and inspect your home, you can get the full list.
$700 to have a home inspection?
Probably somewhere in that range.
Okay, that
I'm
seems like a
guessing.
lot of money.
Well, but you hear me out.
I'm listening.
So it's actually going to be it's a cheap insurance policy. So what happens is they'll go through and do the full list.
Yeah.
You have the opportunity to repair all these items and put them in condition that when the new buyer has their inspection, those items don't come up, so it doesn't send up a huge issue with a page full of little tiny items.
Because you've already
fixed them all.
But some of those, okay, so we got plenty of time to talk about this.
Sure.
I got to get a lot of questions in. So, but couldn't there be things on the list that you think are low-hanging fruit that you could easily fix that you're spending money on that don't really matter?
Well, but again, let's go back to what does the buyer's view look like when they get a list that is 2 pages long full of stuff versus a list that has 3-4 items left on it.
Okay.
It's a much softer impact to the buyer.
Yeah.
And so you can fix the low-hanging fruit, as you put it, quickly and easily, and very inexpensively, and it's done and out of the way. And so that way you don't have all these little tiny items around. Then you get into the other items that could potentially be larger. So the big issue is, let's say you have wood windows on the outside of your house.
They're wood windows.
And you haven't painted and caulked them and maintained them like you should.
Okay.
Because now they're rotting. You have some rotted wood. Yeah. Well, you're going to get a list that shows some rotted wood on the windows. You can bring out a wood window expert, and that guy can come out and fix and repair.
Sure.
Cut out the wood, replace it properly, caulk, flash, everything that needs to be done. And that window will be in good quality condition, and it'll be just fine.
Yeah.
If you don't do that,
it's going to happen anyway.
The inspection's going to happen. Well, but hang on. The consumer's going to say, I want new windows.
Okay. So this just
I
took
want
a
new
turn.
windows.
Man, you really slow rolled that.
Yeah, well, you told me I had plenty of time.
Oh, not that much time.
So now they want new windows. So
Okay.
by doing it on your own, you have the opportunity to fix and repair at your comfort level of what you think needs to be done versus being demanded by a buyer who now has the control of dictating the closing of your home over items that don't necessarily need to be done. But their answer is, well, I want all 5 of the new windows in the front of the house replaced. I don't want them just repaired. I want replaced. Period. And that's what I'm going to accept.
Here's what I keep thinking. Here's what I keep thinking though. Apparently, to sell your home, you need to have money.
Well, you have to fix your home up and get it ready for sale. Yes.
Yeah.
You know.
But I mean, again.
But if you're gonna, I mean,
go ahead.
Again, I know you don't want my car analysis here, but
Hey,
if
can
you're
you
gonna
give
sell
me
your car,
can you give me a car metaphor?
Sure, of course. If you're going to sell your car, you're not going to take time to clean it out and vacuum it and shampoo and clean it up so you get the most money for your car when you sell it. Of course, you're going to get all the Cheerios and stuff.
People don't do that.
Ted and Ollie left below the seat.
Oh man, those messy.
Right, and you're going to get all that cleaned up, and you're going to polish it up nice and neat so that it's ready to go. That's the logical, smart, prudent move if you're going to sell it to get the most out of your money.
Okay, so you as the seller, you do your own inspection report.
Right.
You spend $700, then you fix some stuff, and then a buyer makes an offer.
Sure.
And then do you say, "Oh, we already have an inspection report done," or do you just keep that in your back pocket?
Let them go do their inspection. Let their inspector find things.
So the inspection industry is booming.
Well, it's just as booming just as much as the title company and everybody else involved in the process.
Okay, so they get their own inspection.
Right.
And
now, if you really want to play a strategy, you can leave some low-hanging fruit for them. That way the inspector has something to find.
So wait a second. Okay,
if you really want to play strategy here, I mean, I guess what's the question?
But doesn't this also affect your disclosure then too?
No, your disclosure is what are you disclosing at the time of the home being sold? And if all those items are fixed and you've repaired them, then they're not an item of disclosure.
Okay, so
because the window's been repaired and fixed, it doesn't have a rotted, leaking window. It's repaired, and you're repairing it properly. This isn't like, hey, let's put some duct tape on it and call it repaired.
Yeah.
This is you go through and do it the proper way on your time frame with proper quotes, as opposed to crunched within a 2.5 week window before closing to try to find people to get all this stuff done, and you end up getting taken advantage of price-wise. Because you're in a crunch. Here you can get it all done, prepared, and be proactive instead of reactive.
Let's say you do this
My kids love that comment, by the way.
What was it?
The proactive versus reactive.
Who loves that? The kids?
My kids, they hear it all the time.
Really?
Yeah, that's how you live life. You got to be proactive versus
I think
reactive.
I've written that in a book once.
Did you? I stole it from there.
Yeah.
All right.
You haven't read any of my books.
No, you give them to me. They're nice.
They're good doorstops.
Yeah.
So I think I really have. That's embarrassing. And it's so cliche. It's so unoriginal. I'm like, this is a good line.
Right.
Be proactive, not reactive.
Right.
All right, it's $16.99. So if you do the inspection and you find out something major, wiring is no longer up to code because it was built in the 1920s or whatever, at that point in time, you either have to fix that,
right,
or just don't even bother going to market.
Or hope that a consumer, if you disclose it and that's what it is, and you can list it as is, not.
But if it's not the code, it can't. I mean,
but we're not gonna. We're not fixing it, and this is what it is, and it's as is.
But I thought.
But you can get. I mean, again, if you find a consumer that's willing to deal with that.
But then the banks, then the mortgage company, the inspections for them too, and they're not gonna approve the loan.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, again, if you got to spend some money to make money, and that was that one of your books too.
I didn't even heard that. You should. I like our conversations because they usually end up with you going, I should write a book. I've been thinking about writing a book. You've said that to me for 10 years.
Right. No, absolutely.
So this is what we're doing this whole episode. We're talking home inspections. When we come back after the break, I want to talk about this idea of with a home inspection, should it impact the price of the house in terms of using that as a negotiating tool? Because if it does, at that point in time, it's sort of your last card to play, lowering the price, I would assume.
Sure.
Right. So we'll do that after the break. A real estate mogul, David Klein, talking about selling your house more specifically. We're talking about home inspections in relation to selling your house. You know what's going to happen, by the way, David, when this segment airs or this show airs, is that home inspectors who listen to our show are going to email me and raise all sorts of trouble.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. And we'll figure out what those things are next, right here on the $1 Million Plan.
Yeah. Axe hand on the beat. Yes, sir. Glass House. Yes, sir. Mr. Kinetic, Rusty Redenbacher. ATFU. Naptown. Yeah. Peace to Fetty and Fredo. Yeah, y'all ain't hip yet. Cashing in like the end of the game at the casino. I lean so the glare of the rear view don't hit me. Swiftly through the avenues and boulevards, old soul playing on my speakers, old soul but young and age a boss player. Not from the Himalayas, but my fam gave me Gary, Indiana game. Grew up around the country, but the mindset was there. Ain't I won't complain about a damn thing on this beat. Axe hand got it slapping, Glass House keep it funky. Word to the jams.
Back on the $1 Million Plan, I'm Pete the Planner. I'm Peter Nicholas Dunn. Back on the $1 Million Plan with Peter Nicholas Dunn. See why I don't do that? It just makes a lot more sense. David Klein, real estate mogul, joins me. So when I bought my home, I had my home built new.
Yes.
Okay, it was in 2007 because I knew all about the markets.
Well, that's the right time to buy is 07.
Holy moly. And so I bought new in 2007, and a friend, not you, a good friend,
right,
said you should have an inspection done.
Sure.
Even when you buy new from the builder. And I did. Arguably one of the smartest things I ever did.
Without a doubt. Because
Because when you buy new, it's a different ball game, right? Because it is supposed to be, how close to perfect is it supposed to be?
structurally, everything should be perfect. I mean,
Cosmetically, too.
Cosmetically would be close. Everything's man-made, so you got it in hand done, so it's still human error involved. I mean, it's not, you're not buying plastic, product. It's all hand done, woodworking, etc. But everything else should be correct and to code, and shouldn't be any issues.
And you should never close before these things are fixed.
No.
You said something to me earlier today that a lot of times, so someone will knock down the price on their house because they can't afford to fix it.
Right.
Then you said the new owner of the home, a lot of times doesn't even get the work done.
Right. So, I mean, I've seen a lot where the seller has said, well, here's our negotiations. We'll fix these little items and we'll discount the sales price by, $5,000 to cover all these other items.
Yeah.
And then so now the new buyer gets the home and has $5,000 that they technically should go make those repairs with. And ultimately, most of the time they don't ever do it because a lot of times it's items that are out of sight, out of mind that they don't really notice or worry about. And when they go to sell, they're going to have the same problems, and it's going to cost them probably $7,000 or $8,000 at that point.
Here's an uncomfortable topic. How much does a realtor's compensation come into play in these conversations? Because, and I say this respectfully, which anytime you say I say this respectfully,
you disrespect.
You generally probably do. A realtor just wants the deal to close so they can get paid, and I don't say that is in such a curt way that it sounds, right? I mean, obviously they're doing their job.
They're doing their job, but ultimately their job is to close a transaction, and they get a fee to do it.
So there's this theory, I think it's in Freakonomics, the famous book. There's this idea that a realtor is more willing to let a bad deal go through, even if it costs the seller, because of the spread of how much it costs the seller versus how much it costs in commission.
Right. I mean, I guess that goes back. You could probably take that same theory to lots of industries.
Cars.
Well, you could do it to car salesmen. I was going to say, take it to anything. Financial advisors that put you into a mutual fund because they get a nice fee out of it. Yeah. You hope that the person you're dealing with, your real estate agent or your financial advisors, whoever it is, are quality, reputable people with your fiduciary responsibility and all that fun
You can't
stuff.
Use the F word with realtors, frankly. I mean,
but in reality, you would hope that that's what you're dealing with. Now, like any industry, I'm sure there's plenty of them that aren't good, and there's plenty that are.
I wrote a column once that really hit on the fact that I do think a realtor is probably your most important financial advisor, because they can get you into a lot of jams.
Trouble, without a doubt.
Especially pushing the limits of affordability.
Absolutely.
Not fighting for you on these sort of inspection reports.
Sure. I mean, that makes a big difference. I mean, getting a quality realtor is very, very important. That understands the whole aspect of the process,
right?
Not just this is a cool neighborhood and those are pretty homes.
Wouldn't any good realtor have a handyman on call when an inspection report comes out? They say just use my handyman.
A lot of them have a go-to guy for that. Yes.
Yeah. So here's one that happened to a friend. They had something come back on their inspection report, and the buyer said, "Hey, we want this fixed." So my friend went and got a quote, to have it fixed, a couple quotes, and then it goes back to the buyer and said, "Okay, we're going to do this." And then the buyer said, "No, we want you to use our contractor."
This is why you have an inspection done ahead of time, so you can take care of the repairs how you feel they should be taken care of, and not dictated by the buyer and getting into that situation.
I like this piece of advice.
It goes back to the concept of repairing the window yourself and having it repaired by...
Because you lose all the leverage the second they start calling some of the shots.
Of course. Yeah. And then they say, I want the window replaced. So they want a $1,500 replacement, and you had a $200 repair for the window, which will work just great, and it'll be perfect.
Yeah.
But in their mind, they're being told, you need a new window. And so if you can do it on your terms, it takes it off the table for negotiations.
So I like this piece of advice.
So that $700 inspection just saved you $1,200 in a window.
But I mean, I give advice all the time that no one does. That's good advice.
Of course.
But no one's going to do that, but they should. You're right. The seller should get an inspection before they put their home up.
Absolutely. Why would
How many people? I mean, so
honestly, I recommend this to people all the time.
Okay, how often do they say, okay?
Oh, they do it. Yeah. They've done it.
But that's usually on the sort of a higher end.
But I maybe deal with a client that has the means to do all of that.
Right.
That the $700 is not a big deal to them.
Yeah.
That they can afford to do it and it makes sense. But I'd recommend it to someone that no matter what, because ultimately you know that you're going to have a situation that comes up in the inspection. So, I mean, never have you seen an inspection come back that says, looks good to me.
Yeah.
It's
that's
like,
true.
It's like hiring an attorney to review a document. They're not going to hand it back to you and say that's $300 for the review and it looks good.
Yeah.
Well, you got to do something.
Yeah, there's a lot of red ink
There's
on there.
There's got to be some red ink or something, and that's not a slam on attorneys or whatever. If there is, email Pete.
Yeah, so attorneys are mad at us now.
Right.
All sorts of people. The other night I had this idea right before I was about to go to bed. It was like midnight, and I emailed my attorney to see what sort of intellectual property rights we could get to it. You know that you're in a weird spot when you're emailing your attorney at midnight to ask for like copyrights on certain things,
right?
Trademarks.
And he responds after hours at time and a half.
Yeah, that occurred to me. I'm like, wait, is he like a plumber? Is this going to be emergency hours?
Right.
Oh, man. Okay. So this is slightly off track, but earnest money in relation to this. So is that what it's called? Like you put down like we think we want to buy this house. Here's 10 grand or whatever.
Correct.
What's that all about? And then how does that relate to, because I had a friend in this situation where then the inspection was terrible and they wanted out and the people didn't want to give them their money. Like how's that?
Ultimately, the purchase contract depends how it's written, but I know here locally in Indiana our standard document that's written by the Realtor Association.
By lawyers,
yes, is contingent upon inspection. Okay. So earnest money can be refunded if the inspection comes back that that they can't come to a mutual agreement on it, and then you get your earnest money.
So earnest money can't be kept just because for any reason, right? It has to be given back.
Correct. It can be kept for certain reasons. So
like what?
If you decide that you don't move forward with the closing of the home, and we've agreed to terms and getting agreed, and at the end you decide we just don't want to buy.
But because the person couldn't just come back and be like, well, there was something on the inspection report that bothered me, but then the person would say, well, what is it?
What is it? We can resolve it.
Yeah.
Right.
So do people lose earnest money a lot?
I would say very seldom, but a lot of times that's a negotiated item as well. So you put down 10 grand, we got back and forth. Okay, fine. You can justify that it cost you $3,000 to be off the market for that 2 weeks, and so you can keep 3 of our 10, and we'll take our 7 back and move on with our life.
Can it be calculated? Can it be assumed that when a house is on the market for an extraordinarily long period of time, that there's definitely something wrong with it, or is it just sort of it's mispriced?
No. I mean, when you say something wrong with it, it could be a variety of things. It could be a bad layout of the home.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean there's something wrong with the home, other than it's just a goofy, bizarre layout that most people wouldn't want to live in, or it's decorated with pigs everywhere and goofy stuff like that.
Take it easy. Take it easy here.
So I mean, it could just be poorly decorated inside that people can't see past that. It doesn't mean there's a structural problem with the home or an inspection
So
problem.
it just occurred to me, like, let's say you have someone interested in your home, they get a home inspection, they don't like what they see, they bail.
Right.
But now you've got that home inspection, and it's almost like like you had it at the beginning.
Right.
And then it's your opportunity to fix stuff. But
if you've
already lost money.
If you don't, you're being silly.
Yeah.
If you've gotten that inspection and someone walks, now you take that inspection and go get it all done.
Yeah.
So that the next round you don't have that situation.
Man, it's so funny. I think back to my earliest days of selling our first house when we were like 24. And I just thought, oh, we're selling it. This is easy. It's sold. We get money.
Right.
And it's over. Just turns out it doesn't work that way.
No.
Now, 15 years later, it doesn't work that way.
No, but again, I mean, if you were to go put your home on the market today,
Right.
You would want to take the time to make the home the best possible home on the market it can be.
Yeah.
With fixing up all the dents and dings throughout the house, clean it up, repaint. Ted and Ollie's handprints up the walls, and
okay, so
clean the place up so it looks great. Put the kids at some sort of boarding school for a couple weeks,
man.
that way you can market and sell the home nicely.
So this just occurred to me. So we have wood floor, and there's a couple boards that are just scratched to hell because we have children, and on a day-to-day existence, I don't care because they're just going to scratch more at a certain age, and so we'll fix it eventually.
Right.
But that would be one of those things before we go to market, we just have someone coming out and fix it because
you should, because it's going to look better and show better,
and it wouldn't be another item on the list, which would be on the inspection.
I mean, the key to selling something is make it as appealing and nice as possible for a consumer. And so if you're going to make it appealing, it means you clean, you fix, you do everything possible to put it on the market, and you will make the best return on your investment by having it in the best condition it can be. And that's kind of the mindset, if you're selling anything, make it look nice. If you ever sell anything on eBay, you clean it up, make it look nice, and get a nice picture of it and put it on there.
You've got a store, a business in which you guys, it's funny, now you're talking about this, like you guys got special equipment to photograph items.
Well, sure. Make them look as nice as possible.
Yeah, for a little extra money, because then it has the value. We're learning about life today here on the $1 Million
It's marketing.
Plan.
Selling your home's marketing.
It is.
Would you put out one of these amazing books with a cruddy looking cover?
I have done that. Let's see if we can find it.
Right.
Nicole, during the break, for those watching on PeteThePlanner.tv, we're going to need to grab the cover, okay?
Oh, I know. We're
going to grab that one. So,
how'd that sell?
That's why we changed the cover.
Exactly.
Actually, bring to... Anyway, so coming up after the break, we'll take a look at my terrible book cover. I'm Pete the Planner. This is David Klein. This is $1 Million Plan.
Every day living through the peace of my soul, I remain whole even in the middle of the pain. Even though my life has the rain, I still remain sane, writing and creating for my life. And my pen is my sword given by the Lord, and I use it to fight the tides of restriction. Sometimes I'm conflicted, find myself looking at the trees too much and can't see the forest. Enemy shall inherit the earth, and I want to inherit something other than the high blood pressure and diabetes. So work is what I gotta do. Stay true to my enemy and water the trees that I sing from, and look out for the lumberjacks running with the gale force wind at my back. Swift and enduring, I remain calm. Swift and enduring, I remain calm. Swift and enduring, I remain calm. This lays great errors to
Back wrapping up this week's $1 Million Plan with Pete the Planner, David Klein, real estate mogul. So during the break, we found what we're talking about here. Nicole, can you go to, what shot can you go? Can you do this one here? This is my first book, or actually my second book. 60 Days to Change. And for those listening on the radio or a podcast, this visual moment, it's not so great.
Not good.
For you. Anyway, so this is the first book cover. It's a picture of me sitting on the floor pointing to the title of the book.
Clever.
And I just couldn't do it. I was just like, I don't like what it looks like. And so we had the exact same book redesigned, which really looks more congruent with our brand.
Absolutely.
Now, no. So David, again,
skyrockets book sales.
During the break, we were talking about you selling a car, of course, and
for the record, I'm not a car salesman.
It does occur to me from time to time during our conversations that the reason that you are you and you are unique and successful is because you're willing to do things that, from a work ethic and quality standard standpoint, that most people aren't willing to do. And what I'm hoping people take away from this episode today is maybe you need to come to David's side a little bit in terms of the standards. Because if all you're willing to do is what you would always do, which is to not get an inspection and not spend money to make money, then you're going to find yourself in the same problems that so many Americans find themselves in when it comes to selling a home.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree. I mean, take pride in what you're doing and understand you will make more on your return on investment if you put in more time into the investment. Make it happen. Make it worthwhile to the consumer to buy your product.
You were just saying how you were selling your car and you actually went and paid to have some scratches taken out of the rims.
Yes, so
like
I admit I do hit curbs quite a bit.
Well,
and it happens, I admit it. But I took my car into this really cool place that within 24 hours they had it all buffed out and polished, and they looked brand new, like brand new wheels off the lot.
And
so I spent a few $100s doing it, but the car looked brand new, and so when I sold it, it sold immediately. When I put it on the market, I had people come quickly to look at it, and they were eager to buy it because it was in great condition.
I know this is a really dumb statement, but it actually works well with the rest of my statements. And it's not like you are fixing cosmetic things, but it's not like you're hiding things that are broken. No. You are truly improving the product.
You're improving the product. Yeah, I'm not talking about hiding anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
I think that's important. That distinction is important.
So repairing the window that was rotted that we talked about is repairing it properly.
Yeah.
And the way it should be done that'll last the amount of time it needs to for the next consumer, not just like the next 10 minutes, but it'll last years for them as well. But doing it properly, like I said, it's not putting duct tape over something and painting it. It's spend the time and energy and money to do it right so that it is not an issue. It doesn't mean hide an issue. It means fix and repair. So there's a huge difference in real estate between hiding an item and fixing and repairing. So you talk about a disclosure. If it's been repaired, fixed, and there's no problem, it's not an item to disclose. You're not hiding it. You know, so your roof was leaking. You had your roof fixed, repaired, and it is perfectly in good condition. You don't need to disclose that it leaked because it doesn't leak now. And that's not hiding anything at all. That's just taking care of the problem properly.
You've used all the words. We're out of show.
Okay.
The show's over.
That's it.
So that's it this week. David Klein, Real Estate Mogul. Pops up from here from time to time. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, my pleasure. We figured out this week in our office, if you said my pleasure in a creepy way, it kind of negates the whole my pleasure.
That's not coming from downstairs at the cafe, because we would do a my pleasure response.
Well, it's not creepy enough.
Okay,
anyway,
good.
Thanks for being part of the show, watching on PeteThePlanner.tv, and that's all we got this week. I'm sending you good vibes because good vibes are all that's in the budget. I'm Pete the Planner. This is $1 Million Plan.
If you want to be on this podcast and have Pete fix your money life, then hit us up at PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. You heard me. PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. Log on.
This is for information purposes only. It's not the specific financial planning device. Consult a financial advisor.
Released from Everest, the fresh is fresh, and you can call me E.T. Word to John Tesh. Let me bless this harmonic presentation. It's amazing, so amazing. I'm the reason.
Salutations, I bring you love-tron greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Love-tron can restore your health. I bring you greetings, salutations. How you doing? And is that how y'all say it?
The tinkling of the keys is an homage to the little star. I sojourn over poetic descriptions of sound to travel to my other world. Out of this world, spaceship on my arm took me home, fueled by the ink and the megabytes and the hypertext transfer protocol, stronger than the Skynet and the Terminator. I push faders into warp speed, glide with ease, creating a breeze they call a black hole. Event horizon, no rear view concerns. This I adjourn, and beats I burn. This I adjourn, and beats I burn. Salutations, I bring you love-tron greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Love-tron can restore your health. I bring you greetings, salutations. How you doing? And is that how y'all say it?